is Lena, and this is Culturally Different. And in this video, I'm with our new addition to the team, our son, who was born 10 days ago. So it's time to talk about things that matter. And this is how to make your labor more enjoyable, easier, and potentially shorter. I had 2 births for now, and both of them were quick. And especially this time, I realized why, and I decided to compile 14 tips that will definitely help you, and if you follow all of them, you may even get the same quick labor as I did. So, the most important thing is that all of these tips, they help you naturally increase oxytocin. Oxytocin is a hormone, the love hormone. This hormone is released during labor on different stages and doing different things. So it helps with opening cervix, helps with making contractions stronger, so they will help open cervix more. It helps with all the negative feelings that you may feel during labor. So potentially it can make it very enjoyable, and it also helps with making it faster, because then the birth happens smoothly. That's why it happens faster as well. Of course, we're talking about natural birth and potentially home birth, because some things you cannot, or you'll have a lot of trouble doing in a hospital. So oxytocin is actually a hormone that is released not just during labor. It is released after you have your baby to produce milk, but it also is released when you're not even pregnant. It is released when you hug somebody you love, when you touch somebody that you love, when somebody gives you a massage, for example, when you see somebody you love, even even if it is somebody else's kid and you love kids, and this hormone is still released in your body. But it's during birth when you need it a lot. And there are synthetic options, of course. There are synthetic drugs that try to replicate your natural one, but this is a natural thing you need. And once you have synthetic in your body, unfortunately, natural oxytocin is not released, or at least not released as much as you need. The first tip is, of course, the most basic. You have to know the mechanics of birth to understand what's happening, because this way you have less fear, you have more confidence in yourself that whatever is happening is normal, it should happen. Nothing frightens you, your partner, or whoever is in the house or in a hospital with you while giving birth, so they don't freak out and think like, oh, should this happen or should this happen? No, you peacefully give birth if you know the mechanics. For example, even simple facts like contractions. What do they do? Why do you have contractions? Contrary to common view, contractions are not here to make you miserable. They're here to open up your cervix, which you need to push the baby through it. If your contractions are really weak, it's either great and you don't feel them really well, like I did during the first birth, or the cervix is not opening really well. So you need contractions. What you need to do is to, with every contraction, visualize it, that your cervix is opening. So you have a contraction and feel like you have to imagine the cervix opening. It helped me a lot during the first birth, because it can be a very strong feeling that you, especially having zero experience before your first birth, don't know what to do with. But if you visualize it, you know that it's something that brings your baby closer to you. And with every contraction, you have to be happy about it. That yes, it's actually happening. The more contractions, the faster, the closer they come together, the sooner I see my baby. This is something that should drive you to really rethink it. And again, if you're not afraid of it, if you know the mechanics, I should have contractions. I should have contractions because my cervix has to open. Then you're more relaxed. And relaxed is a very important feeling and emotion that you should experience during birth. The second tip is something that for many people can be a very difficult thing to get rid of. But all of us have some kind of understanding of birth and how painful it should be, that it's seen, like different religious things can come into head as well, that like it's, it's a sin, that's why you have to struggle, you have to be miserable, you have to be in pain. If you're not in pain, it's not labor, whatever. So this should be gone because it is very counterproductive. Labor does not have to be painful. To be honest, there is no pain in labor, at least it shouldn't be. In natural labor that doesn't have any complications, you should not experience pain. I'll explain that because many people will say, oh, it was the most painful experience I've ever had. Pain is something you experience when you are injured. For example, you cut your finger or you broke your arm. Of course you'll feel pain because your body is telling you something is wrong with me, something is broken, you have to fix it, you have to stop doing what you were doing. For example, if you, fell, broke your arm and don't experience pain, just imagine what you will do next. Probably fall again or keep using your arm and it'll screw it completely. So pain helps us to stop and rethink what we were doing. Pain is not something you experience naturally. There are different feelings you will feel during birth. Of course, some of them are strong, but again, it shouldn't condition yourself to believing that it's pain. It is a strong emotion. Of course, you can feel stretching, you can feel like you're going to explode, you can feel whatever, but it's natural. Again, like if you see how big the baby is and what you're doing with your body, but again, your body is made to give birth. So there is nothing unnatural about that. Of course, you don't do it every time, and especially when you do it for the first time, the emotions can be very overwhelming. If you put fear on top of that, what does fear do? Fear makes your muscles tense. What do you have to do during birth? Not tense your muscle and relax them, of course. So it just creates a whole circle of like it becomes stronger, it becomes really painful, whatever you want to describe it. So if you can relax, if you don't have this thing in your head that it should be painful, because everywhere in the TV shows, in the movies, they show how terrible it is, how poor women cannot do anything without epidural, then you're putting yourself in a situation in which you will have to do that. You'll have to have epidural, otherwise you won't be able to tolerate whatever feelings you're experiencing. So not having any superstitions or concepts of how terrible birth is helps a lot. So if you are just considering having children in the future, it's already time to start working on that, because pregnancy is just 9 months and sometimes it takes a long time to get rid of these things in your head. The third one is pretty simple, but not many people for some reason think about it. What brought you to this situation in the first place, what made you pregnant, is the same thing that helps you during labor. It sounds trivial, but for some people, just whatever they do in labor is to do the absolute opposite from what they did in the first place to be pregnant. So, again, like simply speaking, lots of contact with your husband. If you can be alone with the husband, be alone with the husband. More skin to skin, touching, kissing, so all of that helps create a lot of oxytocin. You need a lot of oxytocin to enjoy labor more and have less feelings that are strong and overpowering. Again, if you try during a contraction, especially the first one that are milder, because sometimes like during the pushing stage, sometimes you just want to be left alone, and it's absolutely normal as well. But if you try like hugging and kissing, you will see that you kind of can forget, or at least it makes it weaker. 4, which I kind of already mentioned, a lot of skin to skin. During labor, it's skin to skin with your husband. I know that many people do the same with their kids if they want their kids to be present. It helps as well because, again, you love your kids, so it's not just the husband, it's the husband and the kids.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in here real quick. So in a lot of like TV shows and movies, you see people like holding hands like in the hospital. So basically, like for any guys watching this, instead of just holding her hand, you're holding all of her, and it's that much more contact, that much more support. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. It helps like explain. And again, I will mention this now because we're talking about skin to skin. It will be important because my first birth was during summer. It was very hot in the house. It was very warm, so I was able to be at least half naked or somewhat. So there was a lot of skin to skin. This time it was winter, so it was cold, and I mean I could have been more naked, but I would definitely be very uncomfortable. I was kind of cold, and so our skin to skin was very limited, and I did feel the difference. I did feel that the more you can be like skin to skin with a husband, I did feel the difference between having less skin to skin and having more skin to skin, which makes me think that it is a very important thing to do during birth. Number 5, of course, we already mentioned, you have to be calm, you have to calm down. You can't, you can try, but you can't make yourself calm during birth. You have to practice before. If you're a person who like worries a lot, it may naturally happen that you will be more relaxed, but it's much better if you can practice and train yourself to relax on command. Put yourself in meditative state in which you just calm down, relax. It's a very important thing to consider. One more thing is, again, as I said, people around you should also be calm. If you are very calm and your husband is very nervous and freaking out, and he was actually not on board with having home birth, this will affect you a lot. Or not necessarily husband, your mom, or your sister, friend, whoever you have in the house. Or if you have a lot of people in the house, it will affect you as well. The less people you have, the more relaxed people are, the better it is. Number 6, it should be dark, warm, and quiet. That's why the ideal conditions for birth is probably during the night, especially if you already have kids. They're asleep, so they're quiet. You're not worried about them as well, waking up. It's dark naturally, it's quiet naturally, and you can adjust the temperature so it will be warm. Again, so these 3 things, just consider. If it is during the day, I gave birth with my daughter during the day. It was very sunny, it was July. So I remember vividly that I felt like my eyes hurt from just a little bit of light coming from curtains. They were not blackout curtains, and I asked my husband to put some kind of blanket over these windows that we had in a bedroom, just because it felt as if somebody's cutting my eyes with sharp knives. That's what I felt. So naturally you would want to close your eyes, just because when you close your eyes it's darker. Again, just consider having curtains in a room where you want to give birth, or do something about it so it will be darker in a room. Have candles or soft light. If you'll need sunlight anyway, especially close to the end when the baby is coming, and when the placenta is coming, you will need some light. So you will either use bless you. You will either use candles, or you can use flashlight just directly in a spot where you need to look at. Soft light or anything like that. Completely giving birth in the dark, like black, I don't know if it is a good idea. 7, you should think that it's not pain, but something different. When we verbalize things, our brain treats it differently. So if you put something differently verbally, you'll have different reactions. So again, try to think of labor as not a painful experience, but of a strong, overpowering, powerful experience that you will be able to deal with, you will be able to succumb to, basically, but not fight against. So it feels like pressure. You can feel that during labor. Can be very strong pressure. Different areas of your body, and mostly lower body. Pressure, expansion, stretching, power, all of that you will experience. Pain, no, again, unless you tear, but it's in the end, then you'll feel pain, because again, naturally you don't have tears. So try to forget about the word pain, and it is not applicable during birth. If it is not applicable in your head, it will not be applicable to the actual birth. Also, when you experience pain, your body, your brain turns on because it tries to figure out what happened and where it happened, where you have pain, why, how strong it is, and it turns off your trance state. So like you are almost like drugged when you give birth, and you want to stay in this state. You don't want to think logically. You can't usually naturally think logically. Because if you think logically, you don't listen to your body. If you don't think logically, you listen to what your body is telling you, and your body is telling you what position to choose, when the baby is going to come, and all of that, many things that you need during birth. Number 8, again, as I said, you will experience different feelings. Accept them instead of fighting them, or tolerating them. Like, yes, I'll just wait this. And many people say it's just for one day. You have to struggle for one day. Yes, with this concept, you basically are blocking your feelings. What you should do is to allow yourself to experience them. Tell yourself, yes, it is strong, and I'm going with it, because this feeling brings me and brings my body to finally giving the birth, finally bringing baby to the world. You have to embrace these feelings. Trust your body. You know how to give birth. If you're not drugged in any way, you will be natural drugged with whatever drugs you have inside your body. Natural, like again, I said, oxytocin, at least. Then, if you're not drugged, you know what to do. You know how to give birth. Number 9, the most technical of all and the most easily followed advice, I guess. But again, if you listen to yourself, it's not something that any expert or me or whoever, I'm not an expert of course, can teach you how to do. It's absolutely individual, and you'll have to listen to yourself to know. And this is poses, changing poses. What they show on TV, it's actually always drove me crazy how the woman is like, I know that many people give birth this way, but I'm just saying that from my experience, I would rather die or be tortured than doing that, because it's torture. Giving birth on the back, lying down like this, you will need epidural. You will need all the drugs to not feel anything, just because you can't move, and you should move during birth. It doesn't mean that you have to like run around, dance, or do something like that, but you have to change poses. You will naturally feel that this way you're more comfortable, or this way it seems to be more pressure on specific area, or whatever, like many things to consider. But mostly you have to try poses, change them, and see how it works. First birth, maybe you will need a midwife that will not push you to have specific poses, but direct you, because sometimes you don't know which pose can be very useful and can really release pressure, release different feelings during birth. But again, try different poses. If you stay in one pose for a long time, especially if this pose is something that you cannot move from, for example, being on your back, especially imagine having a huge belly, you're on your back. During pregnancy, you know that it's the worst pose to be in, because you have to have help moving, even from the side. It's painful. So during birth, you can't move at all. So it's something to not be in. That's why I really feel like if you want to torture yourself, please do it lying down. But if you don't do it. Just general logic. If you want to speed up the process, use gravity. So that's why you need all the poses that are vertical. If you want to slow down the process for different reasons, for example, the baby is not in the right position, you're overwhelmed with feelings, you just want for some reason to slow it down. Not all of the people will feel comfortable standing up. It was okay during this labor, mostly because I had time to refresh kind of between, so it was very comfortable for me to just hug John, my husband, and kind of like hug him and lean on him, and this worked. Then again, if you can't stand anymore, you just go closer to the floor. One more thing, sitting on a toilet makes probably the fastest pose to give birth. because it's not just that you're vertical, completely vertical, it's also that you are in the most physiological pose to push anything, not just a kid, if you know what I mean. Number 10, talk to your baby. I did it more during my first birth. I don't know, for some reason I built such strong connection with her that I felt from the very beginning, from the very first sensation that the birth is going to happen today, I just felt like it's teamwork, so we have to do it together. I was so happy, and it worked. It may work with you too, at least to distract yourself from what you're experiencing and bring you close to the baby, even though the baby is still there and you don't see the baby. So if you can talk to your baby, you don't have to necessarily talk verbally, talk in your head, because during birth sometimes you're in a state where you don't make any sense and it's hard to speak. So talk in your head again, like not necessarily with words maybe, but just like kind of encourage yourself, encourage your child to be born. And yeah, it's a teamwork, really, it is. Number 11, warm washcloths on your bottom. If you just want to experience it, what it feels like, have washcloths, put it in some very warm, not really hot, but like very warm water. Put it in any place, for example, your belly. If you experience some kind of like indigestion, you'll feel great. Or even, I don't know, like your neck, back of your neck, your back, your arms. You can put it anywhere. You'll feel great because it relaxes your muscles, it relaxes tissues. So it is an incredible feeling. And of course, during birth, your bottom is stretching constantly, and especially during the late stage of labor, it helps relax it, because again, as I said, relaxing your body is the most important thing to do during labor. And if you can do it through your head, you can do it just training yourself to relax. I know many people can do it, but again, it's not a very simple thing to do for many other people, like for me. But you can also do it physically with warm cloth, washcloth. So try that if you can. Number 12, relax, breathe, don't tense your face. As I already said, of course you have to relax the whole body, but it's very interesting how our face, and especially the mouth, is connected to our bottom. You probably saw how when women push in the movies, they usually do it like this. So what they do is they tense their lips, the mouth, and the face, and do that. Counterproductive. What you should do is, this time I have to make myself do that, because I already had like a reflex of doing that, because again, when you're overpowered with something, it's what you do naturally, because you tense everywhere and you tense here. So I had to kind of tell myself to relax this area, my eyes and my forehead, all that muscles. And with the mouth, I had this trick during the first birth. I read about it before, and it helped, and I kind of forgot about this time, but my husband John had to kind of remind me during the later stages, which was very useful, very helpful. I don't know why I forgot about it. I forgot to do it. I knew about it, I just forgot to do it, because you don't think straight usually during birth. What I did is I used 2 words in Russian. There are actually a lot of words like that are useful during birth, that have a lot of sounds that have or o, in which your mouth is the most relaxed. When you say you don't do anything, right? Your mouth is open and relaxed. Just use this sounds like or, mostly just, or if you want to sing, you can sing the same, like whatever. It helps not tense your muscles, because if you already say you cannot say oh, it won't work, right? So say something like that, it helps. So or you can even scream, doesn't really matter. Some women I know that do. I think this time I kind of made it louder, just wanted to, felt like it. Again, don't control yourself, don't stop yourself. You can do whatever you want, whatever helps. But again, think in more productive things. Like if you want to say then it won't help. Will help. Number 13, don't push. But many people say, but how you should push? And in the movies, they always tell women like push, 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 push. Pushing is something that tenses your muscle. When you push, you tense. What you do is when you want to relax. Even though it feels faster if you push, maybe it will be faster, but it definitely brings tears. It may push some of your organs slower than they're supposed to be. It definitely, there's even connection of people pushing for so long and not losing completely, but having worse eyesight as a result. Because they probably tense their eye muscles so much while doing that. Like, the face is completely red and veins everywhere. So don't push. Instead, how to help yourself not to think about pushes, because sometimes many times you naturally feel the urge to push. When you feel the urge to push, you just pant. During first labor, I didn't feel the urge to push at all, so I kind of like had long, deep breaths and relaxed, like you would when you, for example, for some reason had a lot of anxiety and then you feel like you have to relax, so you just do this and breathe deeply, right? That's what you do. I managed to do it during first birth. During second birth, I had an urge to push. I had a very strong urge to push. I felt like the only thing I have to do is push, so it's what your body is going to do, I guess, and you just feel like you have to help. But I didn't push, and instead of pushing, I just panted. And I realized that when you pant, because your brain has so little energy to think of many things at once, you can only do one thing at a time. So I panted, and I couldn't even think of pushing. So I was just like completely preoccupied with painting. So it helped a lot. So I was like thinking about it, I have to paint, like, and just only thought about that. So like I'm painting now, and it was like really magical how little I could think of during that stage. The last, my personal advice: try birthing stool. It's such a great thing, because I didn't find a pose in which you were completely relaxed. I did not find any poses in which you were not using any muscles at all. I mean, it's just impossible, unless you are in a bathtub or a birthing pool, because then you are supported with the side of the birthing pool, and that's pretty much it. You're supported by water as well, supported by somebody else. They can like hold you. If you do it without water, then there's seriously not many poses in which you have the bottom open for the baby to come out and being relaxed fully, except birthing stool. If you lean on the wall or somebody else is holding you from the back and you're in the birthing stool, you can relax. At least I was able to, and it was very, very helpful. These are my 14 tips that will definitely help you give birth more naturally, experience less powerful feelings, and make it more pleasant for you. So I hope all of this advice will bring you to experience a really pleasant birth. Forget all the things you've heard about how awful it is and how you have to be miserable and hate it, and I hope you will see a different reality with that, and you know that in the end you'll get one of these, or maybe even two, maybe even three. So good luck, enjoy birth, try to use as many of these tips that I mentioned. It'll definitely bring effect, and at least one effect that I can assure you will have is building stronger connection with your husband, because your husband was going to help you a lot with all of that, many of the tips that I mentioned. Thank you for listening, and see you in the next videos. Bye.